Good morning! Hello!
Good morning.
Hey, Sarah! Welcome, Sarah. Welcome, everyone. Hello, Teacher Mileni is here.
Hi.
Excellent.
Hi, Sarah.
Guys,
Hello.
I'm very, very excited for today's talk. I'm very glad that Sarah accepted this invitation to join us this morning. It's a beautiful morning today, beautiful Saturday morning, and we have a bunch of beautiful people subscribed to the event. Louise is already here. Welcome, Louise. And welcome everyone in our community. If you are watching this on YouTube, say hello in the chat, say hi to us. If you are an English Alpinist, welcome Alpinist too. And guys, I don't know how to introduce Sarah to you because she's one of the oldest friends of mine. Not because of her age, of course, but because of the time we've been friends. And a beautiful person, a great person. We had we have met when we were young, when we were kids. We met in school, and we've spent many years without getting in touch. But more recently, we have been getting closer and talking more. So I would like to have her. Very welcome today. So let's say everyone, welcome Sarah. Please say welcome to her. And Sarah, how are you feeling this morning in relation to this conversation that we are about to have? How does it feel to be here with us?
I feel great. Thank you very much for inviting me. You're right, we've been friends for a very long time, so it's nice to finally be reconnecting. And I'm not used to being interviewed, but I'm feeling good. I think it's going to be a good talk, and I'm excited to get to know you all better in this hour.
Ah, that's awesome. Oh my God. I feel so thrilled because this is the first time ever that I'm hearing Sarah speaking in English. We have always spoken in Portuguese, and you sound beautifully. Oh. Amazing. Guys, uh, just to understand what this event is about, we have many questions to Sarah because mainly she's a person, she's a Brazilian. Yeah, she was born in Brazil, and very young she's moved out to live in England. And we are going to ask her about all the things concerned to the language, the culture, all these aspects about this process of moving out, adapting, learning English. So um, I believe many of the questions we are going to ask her today are questions that you feel like asking her. Of course, feel free, Louise, feel free, Milene, to ask her questions that we don't include here. As long as they are not obscene, no problem, right? Uh, but let's begin with some introductions, right? Um, Tell us a little bit about who you are, Sarah, what you do for a living. Of course, we know where you're from, but you can be more specific. And where do you live nowadays?
Okay, so my name is Sarah, as Gabi has said. Mostly over in England, people refer to me as Sarah or Sarah, depending on how they've been introduced to me. And I'm from Campeche, in the south of Florianopolis, which is where me and teacher Gabi met. And I currently live in the north of England, so a very cold part of England, very windy. And for a living, I currently work for a UK gym company in the customer service side. So that's what I do at the moment. Um, yeah, and at the beginning, when I first moved out to England, I lived in the south, in the southwest, a very small. It's a city because it has a cathedral. England has some weird rules like that. So if it didn't have a cathedral, it would be a town. It has a village town feel.
Oh my God, that's the criteria. I have. Yeah.
I'm I'm sure there's other guidelines, but that's one that's always stuck out to me. So because it's really small, it's a beautiful little town, but it's a city because it has a cathedral. It
I
actually
th-
has the cathedral in Salisbury, which is where my mum lives. It has the tallest spire tower in the UK, so it's famous for that.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
What? Sorry, what's the name of the city again?
Salisbury is Salisbury. When I first read the name, when my mum, told me that's it. I pronounced it as Salisbury. And to be honest, when I tell people in the north of England, when I tell people where I'm from, without saying it, they also say Salisbury because it's a weird
It's a weird
looking name.
pronunciation.
Yeah.
But what's
So
the
I'm
correct
from
way to say it?
Salisbury, as if it was
Salisbury.
an O, so soul, or like your
Salisbury.
soul, Salisbury.
You can try at home, guys.
Yeah, but it's beautiful. It's lots of history. So if you do ever find yourself in England, it's a nice little place to visit for
I
sure.
will be kind of melodramatic now because I remember when you said the city where you were living when we talked by, I don't know, I think it was MSN at that
MSN.
time. Good times, right? MSN. And hello, Tel, welcome.
Hi.
uh, we are I just want to have some brief dramatic pause here because the moment Sarah was just started living there and she told us what the name of the city was, I could never forget the name of this city. I had not done any research about it, but the name sticked to me. Like I was going after Sarah at some point, looking after her.
Me too. I'd like to see you there. I'll show you that.
But nowadays you don't live there anymore. You live in the north.
Yeah, so I started my journey in England in the southwest in Salisbury, and now I live in the northeast of England. So kind of went like that.
Hmm.
So I live about by car 5 hours from where my mum lives. So
Hmm.
it's a
And your
little
mom
far.
still lives there.
She lives there. My brother actually lives there now, at the moment for a little bit. But yeah, so I'm the one that's kind of being shamed away from the family, in the north of England by myself.
Is that the reason why you ended up going to the north?
No, so when I was choosing universities, I picked. You have to pick five, because so that's the initial process. You pick five, and then you pick your top one and your insurance. So in case you don't get into your top one, you can hopefully, if you get in, get to your insurance. And Leeds was one of my five, and it was actually my insurance. I wanted to go to one in London, but I didn't quite get the grades for the course I wanted to do at King's College, London. So I went to Leeds, but it's a great university town. It actually has maybe it has at least three universities and maybe five colleges. So it's a big place compared to Salisbury, and it has a great nightlife, and there's lots to do. And where I live in Leeds, I'm maybe 10 minutes by car from the town, from the city, and but I'm also very close to the countryside, so I can go on lovely walks. The kind of walks that maybe if you think of England and you just think of hilly and green, perhaps maybe that's what's on your mind. That's kind of um, the kind of things I have available to me very close by. So it's a great place to live. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but in this moment, you are not exactly there, are you?
No, I'm actually home. I'm actually in Campeche right now. I go back in a few days, sadly. I'm here to visit some family.
Mhm.
When me and Gabby planned this, I was supposed to be at my flat in Leeds, but I'm actually here. And whenever I'm home, it goes really fast, and I wish I could stay longer, but I have to
Oh,
go back to work and
uh-huh.
and go back to life there. But yes, well, hopefully next time maybe could see you guys in person, even though
Oh,
I'm.
sure. Yes, let's make it happen. When are you going back?
In a few days on Thursday, I believe. I need to check. I should probably check.
Oh, damn it! I
But
was going to go to Florianopolis on Friday, so we could
no,
to have some lunch or coffee. I don't know, but let's try. Let's try. Let's see if it's possible. We can do it.
yeah, sure.
um, and well, guys, I think that probably you got a lot curious in relation to what Sarah has commented, especially about the town, the university, her experience studying over there. And when we say there, it's England, okay? When we say here, it's Brazil. Just to make it clear, so so we don't get
We all
confused.
know where we are now, I think, and yeah.
And Sarah, we have some interesting questions to start to know about your linguistic skills. So, do you speak any other languages besides Brazilian Portuguese and English?
Yes, so I speak some Spanish. That's my third, and to be completely honest, my weaker language of the three. Uh, and so, in that, as much as I'm going to be talking to you, to myself, you really must engage in the language often so that you don't lose it and keep in contact in various different contexts as well. You know, different languages, the news, a documentary, a fiction novel, even a kid's book. Sometimes that's really great to grasp because it's something that you're so close to the meaning, like Disney films, things that you've seen before, anything really. So I need to get back into that. Especially, I don't know how you guys feel, but as a Brazilian person, I think sometimes we think that we can just speak Spanish because we speak Portuguese. And then when you're in the situation where you actually have to speak Spanish, you're like, no, no, I don't. I can't speak it. So I used to work in a Spanish speaking country for a bit. So I got better there. But then since then, I've been kind of, I watch TV like Money Heist, a great.
Oh, great series! I had just finished watching it last week.
I'm so jealous that you got to watch it for the first time. I wish I could have.
I'm sorry, we're gonna have some interruption. Please have.
What's your name? Hello.
This is Hamlet, right?
Oh, cute. But yeah, that's all I speak at the moment. My main two are English and well, Portuguese, English, and then Spanish. And if I was to learn a fourth one, I think I love the way French sounds. I lived with lots of French people in the past, and it sounds great. And I would also like to learn more about some local indigenous languages. So I've looked into trying to learn Tupi maybe, but it's difficult because you have the old language and the new language, and it's hard to find vocab and courses. But Duolingo actually has a limited course for Tupi, and
Oh,
I've not,
really?
yeah,
Oh
I've
my
not
god, I
tried
had no idea.
it yet, but I think it'll be really cool because obviously when you learn a language, you learn so much about the culture. So we would learn so much more about even Portuguese and things because like abacaxi, jacaré, those are all derived from Tupi, for example.
There are a bunch of words that we speak Tupi without knowing, right?
Without
In
knowing,
Brazilian Portuguese.
yeah,
That's really interesting. And also I mean, in terms of mythology and learning about the culture itself, it's really, really interesting. Fascinates me knowing that uh, there's a course on Duolingo. That's nice.
yeah.
By
I
the
think,
way, it's not a sponsor, but
yeah.
but it could be, right?
Okay, hello.
Okay. um, but how about the way you sound in Spanish and the way you sound in Portuguese and in English? Guys, by the way, please comment in the chat or comment below here the languages that you feel curious to learn in the future after you get very fluent in English. What is your next language to acquire? Do you want to learn any of these that we mentioned or some other language that we had not mentioned yet? You tell. What language do you wanna learn later?
If we talk about just curiosity, I would say German because
German.
it's a really, in a way, strange language, but is really interesting. But I think that I will be only on the curiosity because it feels that it's really tough to learn.
I
Yes.
got a little bit disencouraged when I learned that the numbers are written like a one word. 377, it would be like one word in German. And I got a bit scared because of that, but who knows, right? If you in the future try to learn German, contact me. We can practice a bit.
Perfect.
In French, the numbers are like you have to do
Do
like
mathematics.
math in
Yeah.
the middle of them. I no.
So
French
now
to
that's
me is
a
too
math
difficult.
course and then a French course. It's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And this beautiful person who's by your side. What? Uh, I cannot see her very well. Hi.
Hi,
It's
Nani.
Nani.
Hey, Nani. What's up?
Hello.
A- any other language that you feel curious to learn? Nani, Luis, teacher Mileni,
Hmm.
My next one will be Spanish and
Spanish.
maybe French later, Italian, but the goal is German. German
Mhm.
because Fokria have some parents in German, long parents,
Your
and
in-laws.
yes, uh,
Ah.
Definitely need to learn them to speak.
yes,
Uh-huh.
German.
Yeah,
He don't have right now parents in German, but we have this goal to learn German and go there to maybe speak with them. But they don't want to speak with us because they're how can I say close persons.
Oh, they are
Right?
more reserved people.
Yes, reserved people,
Mm.
and but we have this goal learn someday German.
that's
Well,
cool.
guys, you can do it. I really believe in your potentials because you have been showing us great progress since the beginning of the course at Speak Now in relation to uh, learning and acquiring English as your second language. So the third, the fourth, the next languages will be easier than if you had not acquired English before. I promise. And how about you, teacher Mileni? Would you like to learn any other language after English?
Yes, Italian for sure. I think it's
Ah,
a
bravo!
beautiful language. It's so beautiful. It's so, I don't know, romantic. It has something in it that calls every time my attention. I think it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That language really touches my heart. I think the weirdest situation actually that happened to me in relation to Spanish and Italian was that to learn Italian, I had to cancel the little Spanish I had. So I understand Spanish, but when I try to speak back, then I have to. I don't know. I can't speak because all that comes to my mind is in Italian. So in a recent trip that we did to Machu Picchu, me and teacher Mateus, we tried speaking in English at first in Peru, but then we did not feel very welcome speaking in English there. And they started talking in Spanish. We could understand, but the moment we needed to interact and talk back, we always spoke in Italian. So that was so ridiculous. That was really ridiculous. One situation, guys, in the hotel, we didn't know how to ask anything about the breakfast, about the shower, how to use the shower. We had forgotten everything in Spanish. And then the moment we left the hotel the first morning to go sightseeing, we didn't know what to do with the room, the keys. And then we got to the reception and uh no me di questo. And then the receptionist said la llave, la llave. And then Ok, yeah, deixa que eu levo. We spoke in Portuguese. So we decided to speak in Portuguese and people could understand us. That's really fun. That's really fun. I heard from Sarah that there's a friend that prefers the way she speaks in English. Is that right? No, in Spanish.
Yeah, isn't that strange? I think I'm nice in both languages, but she didn't seem to agree. It's she's a friend. I call her Charita. Her name is Charlotte. She's from Holland,
Kisses
and
to her. If you're
and
watching this.
I'll for sure let her know that I've told this story. We used to live together and we met in Spanish. And so, as you know, when you meet somebody in a language, that's the most natural way to speak with them. And unless, of course, you have in a group of people that you have another common language, you of course speak in that language. But that's the language we met, and that's how we became friends. And we lived together. And years later, we moved apart. I went back to England. She went back either home or somewhere else to study and work. And a few years later, she visited me in Leeds and she spent a weekend with me. And she said to me, "Hey, my Spanish is not so good anymore. I feel like I'd feel more comfortable speaking English. So do you mind if that's the language you speak in?" And I was like, "Okay, that's no problem." And we started speaking in English. And not too long into the conversation, she goes, "No, I really don't like how you are in English. Please, I feel like it's not the same. You're not as nice. Can we go back to Spanish? Even though my Spanish is not so good, can we go back to that?" And so I did. But I kept thinking to myself, like, how not nice am I in English? How mean am I in English? But I have read before that you adopt different personalities in different languages. I didn't know it was that drastic. But it
It's
does make
noticeable.
yeah, I feel like you have different vocab and you kind of you mold to the way of being, I think, of the culture of the language you're speaking, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know. But maybe it could be also because when we met, I was also learning Spanish, so I was slower. And maybe when you're slower, you're nicer because you're trying to think of the words. And maybe I was more direct in English because I think
More direct.
be more straightforward sometimes. It's less
Hmm.
romantic than Latin languages, for
I
sure.
totally agree. I totally agree. If I have to talk feelings with someone, I always prefer if I have the option to speak in Portuguese
Yeah,
because I think that when I talk about feelings in English, I can sound a bit like a heartless,
yeah,
mean person. Do you feel this difference, Teacher Mileni? Do you feel that difference
Yes,
speaking in English and Portuguese?
yes. I don't know if it's the thing of like vocabulary. Not that we don't have, but it's different, right? The way you're going. For example, a word that we don't have in English, saudade. How are you going to say that in English? There is no word for that. And I
It's a
feel, yeah,
desperation we feel about it. Yeah.
I feel that.
And how about you,
yeah.
opponents? Tell, sorry, Sarah,
Oh no, I was gonna say I
So
agree with Lenny.
you agree? Okay. Uh,
I would say it's more like not only the vocabulary, but how we deal with the words, how we interpretate the words. In our mother language, we are used to interpretate the feelings through the words. So uh, even how we express in our face when we are talking in our mother language. Maybe that's why it's really difficult to express more effectively in another language.
do you feel that you have a different personality even when you're using English to communicate or Portuguese?
No, no, no. I think I'm working on that because I'm
Uh-huh.
really expressful, if I can say like that, an expressful person.
Very
So
expressive.
very expressive. That's the
Uh-huh.
word. So I'm working on it because I need to be expressive.
Uh-huh. Well, and this is something that at Speak Now we are doing a lot all the time. Yeah, with the cameras
Exactly.
on, using the body language, the non-verbal communication very much too. How about you, Luis? Do you feel like you are a different person when you're speaking in English or in Portuguese?
Yes, yes, 100%. It's impossible to notice this because we feel this. At Speak Now, we with all the teachers have one one way to think and one way to speak. How we speak with them because we have more. How can I say? Intimate person, tipo,
Or
more closer with
you
some
have a stronger
teachers.
bond?
Yes, stronger bonds because we have more classes or we have some matters, close matters. Maybe it's not the word for this. It's more uh,
You feel closer to some teachers
with
than.
some things because.
Mhm.
But I noticed this speaking with Gabby, speaking with Mileni, and we have more more matters to discuss, you know.
Mhm.
And in English, I felt more funny person. I am a more funny person. But in Portuguese, I am too. But in English, is a little more,
Way more.
way more. And but it's nice to think about it because in Spanish, how will be my next Luis, you know?
My next self, yeah.
Yes, my next self. And but I noticed this a long time ago, maybe two
Uh-huh.
months, but it's nice to think about it.
To have the confirmation, yeah, this is not
Yes,
just your perception, this is something that everyone experiences. Yeah,
yes.
and I hope Sarah, your friend, if she's hearing us, please give Sarah again a chance to like her English self. This is a this is a plea that I'm making.
I'm nice, I promise. Just as nice.
English, no, her Spanish self, no, her Spanish,
Yeah,
no, her
just
English self,
my
that's
English
correct.
self. Yeah,
Or English speaking self, to be more
yeah.
precise. All right. There are some curiosities. One that teacher Mileni brilliantly mentioned. One of the words that we have not equivalent in English is saudade, and we have a big list here of words. I just picked a few of them, but this list continues on and on. It's a big list, but cafuné, capricho, anteontem. This is hard. Anteontem, xodó. How do you express the meanings of these words in English, Sarah? If you cannot use them in Portuguese with people who don't speak Portuguese, how can you transmit these the emotion of saudade? It's not the same thing as missing someone, is it?
No, I don't think so. It's definitely different. I think you have to kind of balance the words you can use, the closest you can literally translate something, but also without forgetting the meaning. And saudade, it's I feel like it's a longing for a feeling or someone or something. Um, but it's not a doing word. It's not a verb. It's not I miss this. But I guess that's how I would in everyday life describe that feeling of saudade to when I'm speaking English. But I think it's a longing for sure. It's nostalgic,
It's
and it's usually
nostalgic.
positive. Yeah.
It's
I
not
have
necessarily bad, yeah, the connotation.
no.
It's something good sometimes.
Good. I have a book in my flat in Leeds, and is I think it's called Lost in Translation, and it's word my gosh, untranslatable words in all
Oh,
different languages, and Cafuné and Saudade are in it amongst other languages, other words from different languages. It's really cool.
cool.
Yeah, I
uh,
can't remember how they described Saudade now, off the top of my head. Cafuné,
uh-huh.
for sure, there isn't one. You would, the closest translation that I can think of is to pet, which is to
To
do
pet.
this. And but to pet is usually associated with actual pets. So you'd pet your cat.
Can you
But
pat my head, please?
yeah,
It's like,
it doesn't
okay,
work.
is
I
that
think
it?
it's good to give somebody affection because cafuné has such a nice like meaning. Like
It's so cozy, yeah.
yeah. So I get, but or if you were to really describe what cafuné is to someone, I guess you'd say you'd give a head massage or something like
A
that.
head massage.
It's
Yeah.
not quite. It's a loving thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And Chionting, we would in England just say the day before yesterday. It's very common to just
The
say
day before yesterday.
there's no other way. There's no other way
this
around that one.
this reminds me of my grandfather when I have a cousin who's uh, uh, been living in London for almost all her life. And kisses to Nini, by the way, if you're watching this. And I won't. I will never forget when they came. She and her current her husband. They came to get married in Brazil in my grandfather's house, and her in-laws, Eddie and Cindy, they came together. They came along, and they became really good friends with my grandparents, especially my grandfather. His name is Ildebrando, but of course Eddie would not try to say his name every time, so Eddie gave him the nickname of Hilly Billy because he's got some prominent belly. So hey, Hilly Billy, let's go play snooker. And then um we could I could never forget, my grandfather wanted to talk to him about playing snooker, not today, not tomorrow, but the day after. And he did not know how to say this because his English is really poor, but he was trying to explain, and he said, not tomorrow, tomorrow, morrow, morrow.
That's
So
not
you
bad.
find ways, yeah, you find you find ways, and you have fun to communicating. uh I think that we must ask everyone, what is your favorite word in your native language? What does it mean in English? If it is in Portuguese, what is your favorite word in Portuguese? Please leave the comment here, and you can use the chat to comment, guys. Your favorite word in Portuguese, if Portuguese is your native language, and your favorite word in English. Do you have one? Do you have a favorite word, Sarah, in each language?
In Portuguese, I really been thinking about this. In English, I find it really hard. I actually don't think I do. I don't know. But in Portuguese, I really like eita. I know it's technically it's like a
Eita!
noun, but it just works for everything and nothing at all. It's just a sound, but it's so good. And sometimes that's all you need.
It's so
And
good.
I just love stuff like that in a language, like
Eita.
opa, and as well, I just love these little things that if you're not a native speaker, you might not immediately understand, but when you
Uh-huh.
do, it's really nice. It really gives you another layer of communication when you get these little bits.
Uh-huh.
And either sometimes it's the perfect word.
Eita. I think that in English when we say ETA, estimated time of arrival. First time I saw this, it was on text message. Teacher Taizi said she was arriving in, I don't know, 30 minutes, but she put ETA, 20 minutes. And I didn't know the term in English. So I got like, ETA, what's wrong? What's going on?
I can see how that
No,
would be.
Gabi, estimated time of arrival.
Yeah, that we actually use that a lot in text messages all the time.
Mhm.
Like somebody's late, especially, it's like, okay, what's your ETA then?
Mhm.
Um,
uh, I don't know. I think one of my favorite words in Portuguese is um, insubstituível. I like
wow.
many syllable words we have in Portuguese. Some words that are exquisite. Um, I know. I don't know why it fascinates me. In Italian, I like farfalla, farfalle. Yes, I
Is
think it's
that
beautiful.
butterfly?
It's butterfly. Yes.
Nice. And then
The
the pasta,
pasta. Yeah.
the same one, right? Yeah, that's how I
Hmm.
remember. It has to be food. Has to
Hmm.
stick somehow.
So do you guys have any favorite words? Deal. You like this word?
Louise always tells me about this word. Oh, I like this word, teacher. Deal. I don't know why.
Deal. I'm in. Deal. Let's do it. Okay, that's nice. Uh,
What do you like about it?
hmm?
What do you like about the word deal?
because represents some agreement or deal with something, and the both of these um, ways, yeah, they mean same something. Oh, yeah, you need to deal with this. Oh, deal to close agreement. I have this difficult to find a word in Portuguese which I like, but I can't think anything. I don't have a nice
A
word in
specific
Portuguese.
one.
Yes, the specific one.
It's
I would say that in Portuguese is not a word exactly, but an expression because we doesn't know at all when it will happen. Like daqui a pouco. Daqui a pouco can mean any
ah,
time if you are
indeed.
supposedly to do, but people are used to say it even if are not even close to do it. So it is a fun expression that we
In
can
English,
use
we are a lot
anytime.
more objective. Like, what is your ETA? And people, no, in Brazil, no, daqui a pouco, in a while.
Exactly.
In a while,
In
it can be 2 minutes
Spanish
or it can
too.
be 1 hour or more.
Yeah, in
Exactly.
Spanish they say ahorita for the same thing. That
In Spanish,
it could mean now, it could mean 2 days from now. It's like who knows? It's the
you
same
see,
example. Yeah.
it's a more it's in our Latin DNA. Yeah, to no,
Yeah.
let me be. I will arrive the moment I feel like arriving.
I already
I
tell
don't.
my friends because they know I'm late. I'm like, I'm Brazilian. It's gonna happen.
It's gonna
Deal with it.
happen.
Yeah.
You can start chit chatting. You can start, small talking, and then I will arrive eventually. No, but
Yeah.
today you were very punctual, everyone. So
I
and the
in
me,
Portuguese I really like the word ainda. I don't know if you know the reason, but I will tell you.
I
It's
do.
because I live in Rio de Janeiro, right? And this ainda means yes for sure. So when we
Hmm.
say ainda, it means yes. So I really like this word. I love
and
ainda.
and solely saying ainda, yeah.
Solely yes, ainda.
For example, I tell me, I have something important that I have to do this weekend. Me,
Ainda, bebê. Or
ainda,
something
bebê.
like that.
Amazing. We learned a lot. We have been learning a lot of slangs from Mileni. And this makes us really eager to visit Rio. Never been to Rio. Have you guys been to Rio? No. I feel like it's a must. I think I have to.
I like also the capaz that you
Ah,
say. I
gaúchos
think it's
say, yeah.
really interesting
Ah,
to say
capaz.
capaz. Yeah.
Oh no, don't bother. No, don't mention it. Yeah, capaz. Well, moving on, we have some questions still about ainda, still about Brazil. And she said that she used to live in Campeche in Florianopolis. So let's skip this one. But do you remember how we met, Sarah?
Kind of. I mean, not the exact moment, but I think we must have been 8, 9. I don't know. Is that right?
Something around that,
Maybe
8, 9.
younger. Yeah. And we went to school together, and that's how we became really close. And we used to spend a lot of time together. We had lots of mutual friends, and we were always, I remember being at your house a lot. And yeah, and then even because I don't know if I moved away first or if you moved away first, or maybe we both moved away at the same time, but we both kind of left our school. But MSN kept us together for a long time. And then I don't know what happened, but I guess life, it just,
Yeah.
you drift apart. But I'm so glad that we're speaking again. And actually, maybe, oh, I don't know, 5 years ago, we had like a reunion, me, you,
In person, yeah. And
and our
Ju.
friend Juliana.
Kisses, Ju.
Yeah. And I've not seen her in a long time since, I don't think I've seen her since then either, to be honest.
Me
And when we
neither.
were like, it was like, oh, it's been 10 years, we're going to do this more often. It's been 5 years, and we haven't seen
And
each
here
other.
we are, but we are making some effort. Yeah, we're making progress, I guess. I think that if you girls who studied with us or people who studied with us from that time are watching this, which I think is not so probable, but if you were watching this, don't hesitate to reach out to us, to talk to us, and you can DM us on Instagram. Sarah's Instagram
Yeah.
profile is mentioned in every time we mentioned about the event on Instagram and social media. So please reach out to us. Let's keep contact.
Do you know what is crazy though? Me and Gabby have a mutual friend that went to school with us. His name is Jefferson. And
Oh
one
my god. Okay.
yeah. And one day I was in England and I went to London to vote for the presidential elections. And I was looking down and I shouldn't have been looking down, I was crossing the road, but I was looking down. And somebody taps me on the shoulder and they're also crossing the road. And it's Jefferson. And I hadn't seen him, but then he
What?
lived here. And what are the odds? Just in the middle of London, I see him. It was
Wow.
this was maybe 8 years ago now, but I believe he might still be there, or somewhere in the UK, maybe.
Small world.
Crazy, it's so crazy.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, I think besides you and I think he was one of the friends we kept in touch for a while after he was actually oh my god, I don't know, I don't feel okay sharing this, but I will. He was my first kiss, okay guys, that's it. And then after breaking up with him, because I don't know if we can consider we dated at that time, but we broke up. And then after that, I think I saw him once at the bus station in Florianopolis. But when we looked at each other, I was inside the bus leaving the station, and he was sitting, not believing that I was myself, and I did not believe that he was himself. We got like bewildered for some seconds, and that was it.
Love that.
But do you miss um or do you feel saudade, better saying, about anything more specific in relation to Floripa, your hometown, or Brazil it's, as a country?
Yes,
Something you
definitely.
like very much about our country?
Yeah, I mean, if some of you aren't from Florianopolis, it's an amazing place. And the south of the island, I mean, the whole island is beautiful. The south of the island is really beautiful. So I don't live close to a beach. In, when I lived with my mom in England, I lived an hour away from the beach, and now I also live an hour away from the beach. And so it's strange that I don't see the ocean. Like if you're driving into the city center in Florianopolis, you're gonna see the ocean. You're gonna see the
Mm-hmm.
water. So that I miss a lot. Also, rice and beans. Oh my god.
Ah.
I've started to cook more for myself because my granddad has taught me how to make it like he does. Because I was
Mm.
always really scared to ruin the flavor for myself. But now I've started doing it a bit more because I'm like, why just wait till I'm home to have rice and beans?
Uh-huh.
I don't come very often, sadly, and so I definitely have been incorporating that more. But just the people, obviously my family and my friends, but our way of being is, I think, really special, and you know, somewhere else is just different to us. But I do miss our way. Um, you might hear
Mm-hmm.
some birds here. There's some birds shouting, trying to get involved in the
No,
conversation.
it's like the bird is like joining us in the conversation. It wants to ask you some
He wants to
questions too.
say his piece. Yeah.
But you mean the way we are as when we interact socially? Do you mean the I don't know. I feel like we are a lot physical. Yeah, we are a lot physical. We hug a lot and we kiss and
Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely. I think we're just very friendly. Sometimes Brazilian people can be a lot. I recognize that we're too much sometimes, but I do like how touchy-feely we can be with one another, and you hug, you always break that barrier. Obviously, now it may be different because people have different um, ways that they feel comfortable, especially coming out of the pandemic. But I feel like you can meet somebody once, and now you're getting invited to their cousin's birthday party and somebody else's
the
barbecue.
party never ends.
Yeah, and I remember once, because I think that's the same for Latin Americans as a whole. I think we're very friendly. And one time I got put into a WhatsApp group for a surprise party, a surprise birthday party. I got invited by somebody I didn't know for somebody's birthday who I also didn't know. That's the kind of level of
Okay.
friendly we are. And um, in England, they're more reserved, and that's okay. That's just the way that they are. But it definitely means that sometimes I feel like it's not as easy to make friends as I would, so much easier in Brazil. So I had to get
Hmm.
used to that, and definitely had to tone. Well, I didn't have to, but I felt that I slowly toned down how much like I well, I still speak with my hands, but how much I maybe touch people and things. People were like, "What are you doing? This is my space."
Like
Yeah,
my face.
salt
Don't
around.
cross this line.
Yeah. So just our way of being, and I'm probably biased because this is how I grew up, and this is how I naturally make friends. But it's certainly not a bad thing how other countries do it.
Hmm.
That's not how
Hmm.
it is.
It's just different, right? Just different. But
Yeah.
have you got any Brazilian friends living in England or
No, I mean, I know a couple of Brazilian people, and the population of Brazilians in the UK is definitely on the rise. They're mainly concentrated in London. But now in my city, there's maybe four different Brazilian restaurants, which is crazy to me. Uh,
Mm.
because when I first moved here, you would really struggle to find one. But I know a
Mm.
couple in the north of England who I helped them with their English a little bit as well.
Just
Um,
the coolest Brazilians?
yeah, just the coolest. But in the south, well, at least when I moved out there, I didn't know anybody apart from my mum that was
Mhm.
Brazilian. So that was helpful in a way because I was really forced to immerse myself in every aspect of my life there. Uh, yeah, so I guess that made it easier in that respect. But no, I don't. I don't have that many. I have some Latino friends, but
Mhm.
not strictly Brazilian.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And about cooking rice and beans for them. Have you tried
Actually, this year I used to live with over the last 10 years. I must have lived with 50 plus different people. No joke.
what?
Yeah, I've lived with a lot of people. Not at once. Not in
Not
like
at once. Okay.
but over the years, and the last group of people I lived with, um, it was at one point like 10 of us, but it's around 7 to 10. And I don't live with them anymore. I live by myself, but I invited them over and I did a Brazilian night. So I made rice and
Ah.
beans. I did breaded chicken, so frango milanesa. For the vegans and
Wow.
vegetarians, I did breaded tofu and I had batata palha. I tried to make farofa, but I couldn't find the right farinha. That's the crazy thing for them. When I say
Mm.
white powder and you just eat it and they're like, what? Like, do you do something with it? Like, no, it's just there and you just that's how it is. But they liked it. They liked it a lot. And brigadeiro, I'm not very good at making it,
Mm.
but I think most people that have tried it really like it. And most recently, the last couple times I have been here, I've bought pasoka here and
Mm.
over there, and I really liked it.
Ah,
I think
you
it
you
reminds me
brought
of
it. You
sorry.
took you took a bunch of pasaquitas there.
Yeah, I took it
Uh-huh.
in a little pot, and they really like it.
Yeah, so cute. It's one of my favorite candies or sweets.
Yeah, I don't like the sweets. I only like the the actual pasoquinha, you know.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I'm not crazy about the sweets, but recently, like this week that I've been here, I'll literally open a pasoquinha and a banana and I'll just go like that.
Oh, they go really well together. I like that they match. I think they match. Milan is like, no.
Not for you.
But I'm glad that you that this was well accepted, that they really enjoyed trying our most typical food, and that they had fun, I assume. That's nice. uh and we have also some questions in relation to Brazilians. So uh do you now, speaking more in relation to the way we sound as native speakers of Brazilian Portuguese, do you think that it's possible for others to detect our accent even when we're speaking in English? Do you think people can notice, ah, this person is from Brazil, or it's not that obvious?
I feel like I can because I recognize like even it's in the things like when we say uh-huh, that's when you kind of okay, they're Brazilian. But I think I do because I'm Brazilian. I think that English people would just be like, okay, that's not their first language, maybe they're foreign. They might
Hmm.
have to distinguish. Okay, they're not from Europe either, but I don't know where they're from. Uh, so I don't know if they would be able to tell specifically they're Brazilian. Or maybe they could. I'm not sure. I don't have much of an accent at all anymore when I'm speaking in English, so people don't usually guess. They'll go by how I look. They might think, okay, she's not from around here, or they might. I usually get Spanish or Italian or anything else but Brazilian.
People think that you're from you are a different nationality, that you're not. They don't guess right, like
They never
Brazilian. No.
get it right because they have this misconception that Brazilian people are really brown or black. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, like the beauty of Brazil is that we're a massive melting pot and we have ginger people, which is less common, but we do have it. We have blonde people. When I say that I have blonde friends, that are Brazilian friends, they're like, no, you don't. I'm like, no, you don't have like a template for what a Brazilian person looks like. We're
Definitely.
very different, and so I think that's why they don't guess it. But they think, oh, she could be Latina, she could be Spanish, but sometimes they don't even think that because the accent there isn't much of one. So it
Mm-hmm.
depends. When we were speaking earlier at the beginning of the meeting about emotions and language, I think if I'm really mad or if I'm really upset or irritated, sometimes maybe my accent comes back. They might not notice, but I feel like, oh, I can't get the words out in English because you're so closely linked to how you learned them. And there
Mm-hmm.
is less of a barrier for me to go to Portuguese, even though I don't think too much about English anymore, but still, like, okay, it's my emotion, Portuguese, English. There's more for my brain to do, I suppose. And you
Mm-hmm.
forget. You forget
Mm-hmm.
when you're angry or I guess too happy, not so much, but strong negative emotions means that you forget everything. I've forgotten Spanish, Portuguese, and English before all at once in the middle of a presentation. And I was like, well, now I don't have anything to fall back on at all. I'm stuck
Yeah,
completely.
I get sort of stuck when I'm desperate, like if I see a cockroach, or or if I see I don't know, a rat, I get like panic, and then in such moments I cannot, my brain doesn't function in any language aside from English. It just works in English. So I keep
Oh
saying things
wow,
in English like kill it, someone please do something.
you've associated fear with English, and that's that's where you'll go.
It's like the easiest path, uh, neurologically speaking, the easiest, the fastest. And some words in Brazilian Portuguese, actually, some sounds, they are really mind-boggling to non Brazilian Portuguese native speakers, which we'll see like own as own. There's like ooh. um, uh, uh, um together. Yeah, it's a kind of a mixed sound we make. Also, the different ways we pronounce R, it depends the words. Sometimes double R makes the sound, and this is counterintuitive. And this is maybe why for us as English learners trying to acquire English as a second or third language, we begin to fail. We at first when we try to read these words, we we get like we bug a bit. We get a bit bugged, don't you think? How would you guys pronounce these three words? Tomorrow, okay. However, it's crazy for us that double R makes tomorrow. But how about the other two words?
I'm happy.
But tomorrow usually is not that okay for beginners. It's like tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yeah, that would be the first intuition on how to say it. Unhappy, Luis said it correctly. But at first, when I saw this word, I was like, Anya, what? And then inhabitants, not inhabitants, but inhabitants. That's crazy, right? Just some curiosity here, guys, about pronunciation. And when did you move out to England, Sarah? And how long have you been living there?
So I moved out to England when I was 11, 12, and how long have I been living there? I have to do some maths.
You will
Uh,
reveal your age now.
yeah,
And
so
mine too, because we studied together.
about 15 years. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess
Um,
so. Long time.
yeah, a long time. Um, and I had visited England once or twice before because my mum lives out there, but not for very long. So I didn't really speak too much English. I mean, I did English classes here, but I was still very young and I still didn't have too much to go by. I could have a very simple kind of like I could say, yes, my name is Sarah. I like ice cream. Not very useful.
That was your level of English at the time you
Yeah, I
moved
could
out.
deal with broken things.
Okay.
But also nobody's talking to you that much, sadly, when you're 11. It's mainly
Oh.
the adults talking and things, which is good because you hide behind your mom and she can speak and say whatever you want to say.
Uh-huh.
Um, I was definitely a shy kid anyway, so that suited me fine. But when I moved to live, that was when it was scary because uh, I didn't know the level that you need for school. So school was tricky at first, and I remember my first day of school. I went with my mom, and we got to the reception, and there was a girl sat in reception, my age. I still know her today, and she has a lisp. So she like her s's were harder to sound. Um, but you can understand her perfectly. She speaks perfectly fine. But because I didn't know English very well, I didn't know that she had a lisp. I just thought,
Ah.
I really don't know what my mum is saying to her and what she's saying back. And I was like, what am I doing here? This is going to be so tough. And it got easier. Like I said, I didn't have many, there was no kids that were Brazilian. I think in my class, in my form, is what we called it there, I was the only Brazilian. And there was maybe another foreign girl there. And in the school, maybe there was a couple more, but not too many. And so I really
Was
did
it
have to learn.
what was it only in high school that you felt like you were more comfortable communicating in English, or it was um,
Uh,
throughout school that you
I
could
think
see?
maybe in my third year there, so I was in year nine, which is when you're about like 14, 15, is when I felt I got comfortable. And I think it wasn't so much, my dad actually asked me this the other day, we were talking about it. And I don't think it was so much the language because I could communicate fairly well before the 3 years. But at school, in my school over there, each subject had three tiers, three levels. So you had, it was bottom set, middle set, and top set. And I was in bottom set for everything. Uh, maybe some were because of my ability and some were because I really didn't have a grasp on the language. Like maths was hard. I could see the numbers and the equations and I could understand them, but I couldn't communicate that and I couldn't, any written questions, I couldn't process that to be able to do the right math. And so that was really tricky.
Mm.
But by year nine, I started to move up. I think so. It was, even though I could already speak and had made friends and everything, probably within the first year, I felt like it was probably external confirmation that I was doing okay. So I think that marked for me more than, I don't know if I still had an accent then, probably. Um, but yeah, I think that was when it really marked for me in my head.
Mm-hmm. And moving to uh m- moving, no, but I think that the first time you visited England, I don't know if it was in the winter or not, but did you take long to adapt to the weather over there? How what is the weather like in England, to begin with?
So it's rainy and cold and grey. There are some beautiful summer days, but from a Brazilian perspective, that is how you see it. But it is a beautiful country. Don't let that put you off. The first time I visited, it was winter because it was in our summer holidays, but it was snow and I had never seen snow, so I didn't care how cold it was. I was
Ooh,
just really
nice.
excited. But where I live now is even colder than the south and is really windy, so I'm not crazy about that. I still like the city, but I'm not a fan of the weather. So you need layers. You want layers. You want uh,
Layers.
raincoats. I have a raincoat that is small. It's effective, but it's small, so I can fold it in my bag. Why not? Be prepared in that way, and then you don't have to have loads of big coats all the time if you have. Um, but it can change. That was one crazy thing that I noticed immediately when I moved out there. Here in England, here in England, here in Brazil, if
Okay.
you make plans and it rains, you cancel your plans. You're not going to go out in the
Ah.
rain. In England, you can't wait for the rain to stop, otherwise you're never going to do anything. So I was like, oh, okay, these plans are cancelled, and people are like, no, we're still going. I'm like, oh, crazy. Okay,
It's happening anyways, like.
oh, strange.
And you said you have to layer, yeah, you have to dress up in winter clothing. So guys, would you please use the chat now to give me the right sequence, and match the images to the vocabulary? You have one or uh, some seconds to do that. Think fast. We have got mittens, a scarf, a sweater, a raincoat, earmuffs, a beanie, and boots. Which
I
are
love it.
which is which? And Sarah says she has a raincoat that can be she can fold and pack for for going on a trip. But can you imagine wearing all of this at once, like a sweater and a scarf and a beanie with
Okay,
earmuffs?
yeah.
That's the outfit, right? In winter.
The outfit. Luckily now when I return, it will be, we're going into summer there, so hopefully it'll be maybe similar temperature to Campeche right now.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So you will not suffer with the drastic change in temperatures in
So just
weather.
the time difference, but not the temperature.
But the raincoat is in your bag.
It's not at the moment,
It's
so
not okay.
hopefully I won't need it.
Okay. So screenshot, this is the correct sequence. Congratulations if you got it all right or almost all right, or congratulations for your effort if you didn't get any of them right. Anyways, but save these words for later because definitely you're gonna need to um, be prepared with those winter clothing when you visit a cold place. And if you need to go shopping in English, you already know the names of these items. I think we're going to skip this question. Are we going to go over this very quickly? Could you briefly mention what you felt with Brexit having happened? Do you think that this has changed anything in your daily life?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I'll try and keep it brief. So I think the main things that I've noticed is an increased divide in society because it's been a very divisive time just to decide on Brexit, and even now, post decision, the UK is still
Mm-hmm.
very divided.
Mm-hmm.
The way that I've so aside from that, financially is how I've noticed Brexit more.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, prices started to go up, and now, sadly, with the war, the Russian war, we are in an actual cost of living crisis. So my gas and electric bills have tripled. My salary has not.
Uh-huh.
Food is expensive and everything. So I think Brexit was the start of that social divide and money problems.
Mm-hmm. I think you summarized it really well. Um, Also, some curiosity, guys. What is this that we can see in the picture? What is it?
Milky tea?
You got it. Yes. And why do people drink tea with milk? Sarah, did you acquire this tradition? Do you think it tastes good? Have you guys ever tried? I have. It's delicious in my opinion.
I have not. I like herbal teas, so over there I like a lot of green tea. But I didn't know this curiosity that's on the screen. But people have actual debates, like in office. They're like, "Do you put your milk in first or after? Do you put the tea bag for a few seconds, or do you let it brew?
My God.
How much milk?" Yeah, honestly, one of my friends in their office, they have a chart with the color of how much milk you'd have, so you know how to make their tea for them. It's like a
Wow.
lot. I stay out of it. I don't like it, sorry, so it's not too much of a problem, but it's a thing. It's a thing.
You are more like a coffee person like me.
I actually don't like coffee, so I'm
Okay.
shunned in England for not liking tea, and in Brazil, people are bewildered that I don't like coffee. I don't fit in.
You don't fit in in such situations, right? Just like the rice and beans discussion, right? To me, put do you put the rice on top of the beans, or vice versa, or a side of by the side? I never know.
It has to be by the side, no? It's
I
not
don't
just
know. I mean, I like it side and top. I don't know. Anyways, it's a long debate. Um, and aside from tea with milk, have you incorporated some of the English culture for all these years living there?
yeah, I think humor probably. They're very English people. This is not the same, obviously, in other English speaking countries like the US and the UK have very different humor, but the UK is very quick witted, very sarcastic.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that a lot. I also think it's a generational thing because I think our generation here, even in Brazil, we're more sarcastic than our parents. Um, that's my experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What they laugh at and what they don't. And but I really like that. So I love stand-up comedy and I love UK comedians. I think that's probably where I've probably incorporated the most of English culture, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is something that even um makes me want to live in Europe one day, is this kind of humor that I had contact with when visited Netherlands for the first time. I think that was the first experience abroad for me, and in of course, from all the things I felt really thrilled uh, and fascinated about, the thing that called my intention to one day move out and live there is this, exactly this witty humor. The bus driver, we had just arrived and we needed to go to the hotel, and we took a bus that was supposed to take us to the central station, but then it stopped, and everybody left the bus, and the bus stopped in the middle of the city, in the city center. And I reached out to the bus driver and asked him, is this bus taking us to the central station? And he was like a middle-aged he had a gray hair, and it was like really preferentex bus driver, and then he looked at me smiling and said, "No, but you can cross the street and take another. You can take the tram to the central station." And I was like, "Okay, that's nice." Uh, any slangs, any words that are popular in the place where you live, or in the campus, or I don't know, in your work environment in English that you can share with us?
I think one thing that's different in the north, that there is like a very strong difference between the south and north of England in the way they sound and in the way they are. They have the fame for being friendlier in the north than in the south. And one thing that they say a lot is "a up." I can write it in the chat.
Okay.
Um, and it just means "yay, how's it going?"
Hey
Um,
up. Ah.
but in the north, they don't say "up" like we're used to saying "up." They say "up." So how much? How much? Everything is like that. And that's something that I've kind of acquired. And when I go see my friends in the South, I go, "Hey up." They're like, what are you saying? Why are you doing this? And they immediately know it's my plan coming through. I think that's the main thing that I kind of remember. Some slangs, what I noticed with the younger crowd in my office is slay, which I'm pretty sure is the Beyonce influence.
Uh-huh.
In everyday life now.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
It's part of your communication now already.
yeah.
And is there anyone famous that whose accent you admire? I don't know, but many of the alpinists tell me they love the way Adele sounds, for example.
Oh yeah, Adele is very stereotypically London. She sounds great. I don't think I have like a particular person, but I do like. I cannot for the life of me impersonate it, but the Irish accent is really nice. I think
Mm-hmm.
like I say Irish, I think the Irish would say Irish. Slightly
Mm-hmm.
different. I cannot do any more than that, sadly. But I think that's a really soothing accent. You could maybe fall asleep if somebody in Irish
Just
told
keep
you
hearing, yeah. And-
it's
uh,
really nice. Yeah.
yeah, and how about the Scottish accent?
That's really relaxing too. And one time I worked with two people that were Scottish at one time, and I thought one of them told me they were from Glasgow, and then I heard the other one, and to me it sounded very similar. So I was like, "Oh, you're also from Glasgow?" And they're like, "No, I'm not from Glasgow." But it was equally as relaxing to listen to. So I'm
Uh-huh.
not very good at differentiating Scottish and Irish accents. In England, I'm okay of being like, "Okay, you're from this city, you're from that city," but outside of
Uh-huh.
that, not very much.
Uh-huh. But it's hard to distinguish, but you can know, at least you can have some idea of where they're from.
Ish, yeah. I
Hmm.
can do an educated guess, maybe.
Okay, that's another slang, ish,
Ish, kinda.
kind of.
Yeah.
It's actually a suffix. For example, this is not, I don't know, how can I say? This is not really yellow. This is a yellowish color, but you can use it solely as a kinda to mean
Yeah.
kinda. Very nice. Moving on, what is your favorite food in England?
I think baked beans on toast. I don't know if you guys have heard of that before.
Baked beans on toast.
Yeah, I'll describe it. It won't
Mm.
sound nice from my description, but trust me, I didn't like it at first. So it's like little, like imagine little black beans, but they're white, so like a cannellini bean in a some kind not sweet. It's savory, but it's kind of sweet, I guess. Um, Tomato sauce. Like me just describing it, I'm like, I don't want to try that, but it's nice. And you have like two pieces of toast, put some butter on it. Then you can make your own, which would be really tasty, but usually you buy it from a tin and you put it in the
Ah,
microwave or on the hob and you mix it in a pan. And then
uh-huh.
you put that on top of your toast. And then I like with cracked black pepper and
Mm.
cheese, cheddar cheese.
Mm. I
Yeah,
mean, why not cheddar cheese? Yeah, it makes everything better.
and that's a breakfast food.
Uh-huh.
Cheese
That's a
on food.
breakfast dish.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can Google it and find a picture later,
Uh-huh.
and it's tasty. It's tasty.
Let's find the recipe for it and share in the group on WhatsApp with the people who are subscribed to the event. That's really nice. Uh, I don't know, but I think that for the weather that is colder, it suits
Mm,
the weather. You know, like something that is warm and comfy food in the morning. Yeah, makes you want to leave the bed early.
almost. Yes.
Almost. Um, can you please pronounce the TH sound on each of these words for us, Sarah, very clearly? Can you try to sound as clear as you can, please?
Yes. So thumb, earth, bathtub, feather, path.
Very good, very good. Thank you. Guys, did you notice that there is one that makes a bit of a different sound? Feather. Instead of that is voiceless, thumb, earth, there's no voice here, and you can try touching your neck. You can place the hand on your neck and say these words at home. Thumb, thumb. When you pronounce the th, there's no vibration, but when you pronounce feather, there, there's such a vibration going on there. So th can have those different sounds sometimes. Yeah, interesting vocabulary. So take notes or take a screenshot. Moving on. Talking about the th sound, are all the cardinal numbers, no, sorry, the ordinal numbers, most of them include th at the end. Can you count until 10 in ordinal numbers, please?
Yes. So first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Oh my God. Sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, tenth.
Perfect. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Do you have any
Forget what
pronunciation
came
tips?
after five.
Sorry?
How did I forget what came after five? That is bad.
But it's, in my opinion, one of the hardest ordinal numbers, sixth. Like
Yeah,
many.
it's almost silent. You almost ignore the X when I see
Ah,
six.
that's a great tip.
Yeah, so you
Sixth,
imagine it's a C instead of an X. Six.
sixth, sixth. Oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
That's nice. Do you have any other pronunciation tips that, uh, things that you did that worked for you and you would
Mm,
recommend?
I think one thing that I struggled with, two things I struggled with. The first one was the T sound, like in party and spaghetti. I actually remember being laughed at. Maybe that's why it stuck with me. But like learning a language is not about removing accent; it's about communicating. And people could understand if I said party because I couldn't say t. So I had to work on that. And also, the word like to hum a sound, to hum a tune,
Mhm.
and then putting ham, like cheese and ham. I could never hear the difference between the two for years until people would be like, no, that's not quite right. And so I have to smile almost when I say presunto. I have to go ham. And I
Ah!
used to say hum for cheese and hum. I thought it was cheese and hum, but it's not cheese and a tune, it's cheese and ham. It took me a while.
It's not like cheese and
Yeah.
no.
But the main thing is that you're understood and you can understand somebody. So I don't think accent is a huge deal. I just so happen to have lost mine. My mum still has hers, and I think it talks about her journey and her story.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's anything to be shy about or ashamed
Uh-huh.
of because it's beautiful. Everybody
Should
has
be
their own.
proud. We should be
Yeah,
proud of our accents.
of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
And how about the schools? I mean, you talked about school, but how about university? In how was your experience doing university over there? Do you think universities are a lot different from what we think when we think university in Brazil?
So I feel like it's different, but because in Florianopolis we have a university, so a lot of our friends who went to university went to that one and lived at home. So that was my mental image, is that you still live at home and you go to uni. Obviously, that's not the case for everybody in Brazil. You have to travel sometimes, which is what I did. I went to Leeds. I went 5 hours north, and
But
so
it's
I,
more common to leave home when you go to
yeah,
university. Hmm.
absolutely. And so I got to have the experience of living with friends, or with not always friends, but different people that you're put with, and getting to know so many different nationalities and way of living. Um, oh,
See you next
finding a
time,
Bye
me.
bye.
Have a
Thank you
lovely
so much.
weekend and
Love
holiday.
to meet you.
you
Thank
too.
you.
Um, yeah, I think that whole package of living away, you know how when you're playing a video game, you have a demo at the start when it teaches you how to jump and it teaches you how to grab and shoot. I felt like university was that for real life, so I had to.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't obviously real then. I had to pay bills and I had to do these things then, but it felt like within the comfort of being a student,
Like
which is
rehearsing.
like rehearsing, but obviously it's very much real life. But it definitely gave me a start of how to think about things like that.
Okay. How about dating and making friends in England versus Brazil?
So I
That
think
is the question that everybody needed to know.
I think I can probably speak more to making friends rather than dating. I actually haven't dated a Brazilian person before, but the thing that I
Wow.
see is that um, we are much more romantic in Brazil or Latin America, or maybe just the English aren't as romantic. Um, but in terms of making friends, is that initial barrier of um, trying to get into a friendship group or being invited to things, it's not as easy, like I mentioned before. I think it takes a lot more work, and I think they
Social
need.
circles feel more closed.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not that they're not nice. I think it's just the way they are. So they can't. You need an in. You need somebody to be like, okay, we've seen her a few times. Okay, yeah, let's bring her along to this other thing. Whereas in Brazil, one time and you're friends. Um,
Uh-huh.
I think romance maybe it's the biggest thing. We're quicker. I like choosing, I guess, the person, being like, okay, this is my new favorite person, and you do a lot
Uh-huh.
to make them feel great. And yeah, romance maybe.
And take this person everywhere and to meet many people.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know what you mean.
Slower, slower over there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like slowing down in this aspect.
Yeah.
This is nice to align expectations. Do you have any recommendations on channels on YouTube that you think you like, or maybe podcasts or things that we can, uh, as alpinists, we can benefit from watching or listening to?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm kind of rediscovering YouTube because I spent too much time on Instagram, so I've removed the app from my phone so that I don't
Oh,
go on it too much. I have to go
mm-hmm,
online and stuff. So I'm rediscovering YouTube, but an Instagram account that I think is really helpful is Rachel's English. I can write that in a second as well. Um,
okay.
and she's uh, American. She's from the United States, I believe, and she talks about sound. So, like in the previous slide, you put the ehi, and those
Mm-hmm,
things. She
mm-hmm,
talks about that, and she speaks really clearly, and she tells you about different words in different contexts. Sometimes for your level, and you might feel okay, that's I already know that, but sometimes I think is really interesting.
mm-hmm.
And a podcast that I love is, I don't know if I even pronounce his name right, but it's Andrew Huberman. He's a neuroscientist from the University of Stanford, so it's also a US accent, but he is just about neuroscience, but he really breaks it down. So if you're interested in that, go to the very beginning and he'll build your knowledge. And I just love stuff like
Oh
that.
my
So
god, that's really interesting.
I'll write them both down. So
Please. Oh my god. If you are interested in neuroscience like us, go for it. I'm and if you are not, take the chance to, yeah, to get to know a bit more about this field. Fascinating. Yeah, neuroscience to me is kind of crazy because it is like meta. It is like a meta thing because it's the brain studying itself. It's kind of crazy to me, but fascinating,
Super
definitely.
interesting. Hmm.
And you like traveling, don't you, Sarah? What
I love
countries have you already been to?
I was lucky enough to go to Southeast Asia a few years ago, and that was really great. I got to visit Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam. And Vietnam was my favorite. And
Wow.
I went all the way up the coast of Vietnam, from the south to the north, and it was great. But I think my favorite ever one that I've been to was Cuba, or one of my favorites.
You have
I
been to Cuba. That's
Yeah,
cool.
I just loved the people was so nice and so lovely. It was a beautiful country, and I loved the 1950s cars everywhere. It was really cool.
Ah.
To ride in one, and it was really fun, really good. A great
Uh-huh.
experience.
And,
Yeah.
do you travel often?
Sadly, no. When I was younger, a little bit more, because I used to work alongside university, so I had some pocket money.
Hmm. Hmm.
But now with work and the pandemic recently and things, the last two times I've left England, I've come here to say
Hmm.
hi to family and friends. But
Uh-huh.
if money was no object and time was no object, I would be for sure traveling more.
Uh-huh. Going for it. Many
Yeah,
trips.
100%.
What is the next place you're planning to visit? What's next in your list?
I think realistically, maybe Portugal. I have some friends
Uh-huh.
there, and I've never been. But I would also love to explore Brazil more, like Foz do Iguaçu. I've never been. Lençóis Maranhenses. I've never been. I would also like to go down to Patagonia and get as close as I can to Antarctica. That would be really cool.
Oh my God, I can picture you skiing.
Oh my God, skiing scares me, but I would
It does, right?
be, yeah.
But
That
Patagonia for sure. We should organize a trip because
Yeah,
that is in
oh my
my
God, that
list
would be
too.
so fun. Yeah,
Let's do it.
I'm in. Deal.
Deal. Guys, I think we have ran out of time, but just checking in, what have we learned? Tell and Louise, what did you like the most learning from Sarah today?
Um,
One at a time,
Probably
one at a time, please.
okay. Her accent is awesome because she lived in England for many years, and I could understand everything he said, and because she speaks very well, and that's awesome. I learned a lot of new things here, and thank you so much for teaching us with Gabi and Lenny and teacher Mateus. But I think
Awesome.
it's all the experience. It's worth, and thank you so much. I can't
Awesome. My
give a
pleasure.
list.
That was one of Sarah's concerns. Will I have, what are the levels of the alpinists? Do I have to speak slowly? And I said, no,
It's awesome.
alpinists are brave. Speak
Guys
the
are
way you
Really,
would
really.
normally. And now you can see it's
It,
confirmed,
it,
Sarah. He got it.
it is fun. It is fun because actually Annie is a newbie alpinist, but
She's a
she's
fresh,
also, yeah,
a freshman.
a fresh person, but she is also following through the subtitles.
Ah, you activated the captions, the
Exactly.
subtitles.
So
Nice.
it's really helpful, but it's we feel glad that you are sharing your experience and your way of life there. And I would say that it's about that curiosity, especially because we both like tea and we both never had tried milky tea. But it is really nice to hear your experience. And we were talking about your accent too, because we can feel the British accent when you are talking, even if you know how to. If you are a Brazilian person, we can feel strongly that the accent and everything you shared with us is really nice to get to know.
That
Oh,
was
I'm
another of.
glad. It's been
Sorry,
a
Sarah.
pleasure speaking to you guys. It's been really nice. And maybe one day, like I said at the beginning, we can do this in person. And if you guys have any questions and want to talk some more and have more of these experiences, for sure, let me know. I'm sure Gabby can give you my contact and yeah, whatever you guys need.
Yeah, let's keep in touch, guys. If you still have anything to ask her, the group will be open after the event, so you can share links. Sarah, if you want to share the links with us and a picture of that recipe that you mentioned, please let's learn how to make the beans, fried beans with toast. That's it.
Beans, yeah.
Baked beans with toast. Let's learn to make it. Let's try. Let's see if we like it or not. And you can continue in touch through social media as well. That was another question that I was going to ask. How does it feel to hear Sarah speaking, and you have already answered that as well. So, guys, do you have any more questions before we close? I don't think so,
Mm,
right?
no, not at all. The curiosity that I have would take time to talk. I think because I don't know, but as I usually tell everyone about it, I'm really we are really willing to move to another country sometime in the future. So we are always curious about how the environmental matter are being developed there because we work with environment. So it's a possibility to move.
That's so
Uh-huh.
exciting.
How are the professionals there that works with environment?
I think I actually have a friend here who um, works, I believe, in that context, and he, I believe, went to England and either studied or did some research there. Um, I'm not too much in that area, I don't know, but I think it's definitely a growing thing. And if you have um, experience or you have, you know, whether it's a diploma or some course to kind of back you up, uh, I think that would really count when looking for something abroad. Definitely do research and see if there's anybody you can get in touch with. If I think of anybody, I can pass it on. Um, but I'll probably be more helpful to you in the practical aspects of moving out there. So if you have any questions now or later about that, hit me up with those and I'll see what I can do for you. But that sounds really exciting too, both.
He's smiling, you see, because he's been. I know that he's been taking the steps to do this movement really soon. So
Hopefully,
Well, good luck.
hopefully.
I hope it goes well. Maybe we'll see you there. Who knows?
who knows? Sooner than we expect.
Yeah.
Exactly. Who
Sounds great
knows?
abroad.
Well, guys, this was a great honor, Sarah, to have you today with us, to have you alpinists today with us this beautiful Saturday morning. I will definitely carry this in my heart forever because this means a lot to me to get closer to a friend who was uh, long ago in my life, and we are back talking more and getting closer. So this is really meaningful, and I hope that what Sarah mentioned today has not only encouraged you but also inspired you to keep learning despite the struggle, to keep challenging yourselves, to keep uh, dreaming of achieving new heights in whether in your personal life or professional life, travel, make new friends, explore different cultures. Um, and I hope the message was clear. I think it was. Right. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Sada. Thank you, everybody. And don't forget to subscribe to events like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
teacher.
everyone.
Thank you,
Have a
Sarah.
lovely weekend.
Thank you, teacher, for bringing her to us. Bye bye,
Don't
guys. Thank
mention
you.
it.
See you. See you,
Bye
everyone.
See
bye.
you guys. Take care.